Hello, and welcome to From Upside Down to Right Side Up, Tips for the Transition. I'm María Tomás-Keegan, your host, and this is my continuing series of interviews with strong, resilient women who have an inspiring story to tell, and they are courageous enough to share it with us here. I'm excited to introduce you to my next guest, Alison Rand. Hers is a health journey that I know will mean something to other women. I know several women myself whose health has declined, and they haven't been able to discover why. So Alison shares her story with us so other women may find some hope in their own journey. Hello, Alison.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. We're calling this episode My Hashimoto's Nightmare. So I want to thank you so much for being here and letting us in on what should have been a joyous time in your life, but that led to a very difficult time. So would you share that story with us?
Sure. My story, really starts back in high school for me. I'm going to be 43 this year, and my journey really starts about me wanting to be a mom. And I always knew I would be a mother. I always knew I would stay home and raise my children. And I didn't know in what depth, but I knew that was important to me, and that was part of my lifetime of what I would be doing and what I would be giving of my gifts. And so in high school, I really had a connection to international adoption. And it was so important to me that when I was, in my young 20s, and I was starting to think, okay, I'm going to start dating with intention of marrying and more of the, starting my dreams. I knew that isn't something that is for everyone. And so on my first date with my husband, I kind of laid it all out there. I said, I want to be a mom, and I want to adopt, and I want to stay home. And how do you feel about that? And do you want the same things I want? And surprisingly, he didn't run away, being that this was a first date. But he was also like, wow, finally, I'm meeting someone that knows what they want, is not playing games. And ultimately, that attracted him even more to me. And so we dated and married 2 years later. And at that time, I'm 26 years old. And at the time, to adopt from China, you have to be 30 years old. You have to be established. You have all this criteria that you need to meet. And my husband was over 30, but I wasn't. So, it's that long waiting game even more now. That was really hard, but it also showed me how badly I wanted this. And it gave me the time to mature even more, to grow in our marriage. And, there is an expense involved, and it helped us to be prepared for that. So that has been the beginning stages of more of what I really wanted. And so now I'm 30 years old and starting this journey of becoming a mother. I have never carried a child. I don't know what that feels, but I felt I was carrying a child in my heart. I don't know if that can make sense, but I was an emotional roller coaster. I was going through such a deep connection with a picture, with a just, wondering what my daughter is doing right now because I can't be there. And what it was really hard to know your child is alive, but yet you can't be parenting that child in that time. And then you get that wonderful phone call that it's time for you to go and meet your child. And oh my goodness, I was 31 years old. I was ready. But with adoption, there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of, you have to really be prepared for the unexpected. And even when you think you're prepared, something just throws you and you're not expecting it, and you just have to keep going, through it, because at least I did, because this was, I was manifesting this since I was in high school and it was happening. So we come home from China with a 25-month-old. There is no time to transition, slowly into becoming a mother. It is, active, and that took a toll on me. It really took a toll on me. I don't know what postpartum depression feels like, but I almost felt like I was in that in some sense, because I was so happy, but yet I was like stressed out and not knowing how to deal with all these feelings, and everyone's coming at me with, do this, do that, but yet nothing is resonating with me. And it's easy for people to say that over the phone that haven't experienced what I'm going through. So that was hard. I started to go down a path that didn't make sense with all the years I have dreamed of this. I couldn't understand why I was feeling this way and feeling almost lonely, because no one could relate to me, and other than my husband, of course. But he was at work. I think I resented that he got to go and escape and got to go out and have lunch. And I didn't get that. But I loved my daughter, and I knew that I would push through this, because I do believe that this is part of my journey. I believe that these struggles were something that I could work through to then on the other side be able to help others and not know that they're not alone in this journey.
So Alison, tell me a little bit more about the health. How did your health start to decline? What were you feeling, and what was going on with you there?
Yes, initially I had no energy. So my daughter, this was her, she woke up at 5 a.m. every day and wanted a meal immediately. And then would go to bed sometimes at 11 at night. And I was like, what is going on? This child needs to sleep. But this child also, was coming and transitioning from it's a lot of change here. And so my energy was depleted. I was napping when she napped. I lived in sweatpants on the sofa, as much as we could be just lounging. that was our lifestyle for way too long. But it was necessary for me. And the energy was the biggest piece. I started to gain weight, and I think that was from not being active. I was in some form of depression. I mean, I was never diagnosed, but I was definitely not feeling good about myself, and this was.
So did you work through this malaise that you were feeling that with doctors, and what did you do about getting some idea about what was going on for you?
So I initially would go, for my annual checkup, would tell my MD what's going on. And she would, oh, you're just a new mom. You're just not adjusting well. And that was like the worst thing you could tell me. Like, wait, what? I am not. That did not describe me. I mean, I understood in a sense what she was saying, but that was not an okay answer for me.
Right.
And that was, I don't think you should tell that to any mom. I mean, that is just heartbreaking. So I just kept continually going to doctors. I ended up with a naturopath. That was the best fit for me. And ultimately getting to a diagnosis of having an autoimmune disease, which is Hashimoto's. So in that moment, I get this diagnosis. In one sense, I'm relieved, like, phew, I'm not crazy. There is a reason why I'm feeling this way. At the same time, I'm thinking, oh gosh, this is a lifetime diagnosis, is how I heard that. And so now it's, what does this mean for my future? What does this mean for my day-to-day life? What does this mean for my children? Because I'm not the mom that I want to be in this moment. So it was that relief, and then that, oh no, what does this mean?
Now, how long did it take you to get that diagnosis?
Years. Yes. And it wasn't until having the right labs done that showed it. Doctors kept just looking at one aspect of my lab work, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm just the patient. And it wasn't until someone went deeper and more tests that there it was there right away,
Interesting.
So, yeah.
And I remember you're telling me that during this period of time that you were feeling so badly and having low energy and gaining weight and all of this, that you actually went and adopted a second child from China, didn't you?
We did. My husband went alone. I stayed home with our daughter. But yes, we did adopt 2 years after our first adoption. And, why would you do that if you're feeling this way? But I also knew that this was a temporary, even though it took years, this was a temporary feeling in what I was going through, because I knew I wasn't going to stop looking for answers. And so I knew I wanted more children. I knew that growing my family was important to me. And so it was a right fit, even though it may not be conventional to do it when you're not feeling well.
Yeah, indeed. I'm sure there were a lot of people saying to you, "What were you thinking?"
But I had love. So even though I felt awful, I had so much love. And so I didn't not, anyways, this was a temporary moment, and I'm glad we're on the other side.
I'm inspired by that, because you have had this vision for so long. You weren't going to let anything stop you from, as you say, manifesting this family, this adoptive family that you from a young age. felt very connected to. I know that not everyone listening will, who is not feeling well and doesn't know why, will have the same diagnosis of Hashimoto's. But the struggle to regain your health and the emotional roller coaster you went on during that time, all the while trying to keep up with 2 young children, it's likely to resonate with other women. So I'm so happy that you've joined me here and are sharing this Hashimoto's nightmare on the one side, and the joy of being an adopted parent on the other. So what I'd like to do is ask you to take a deeper dive in our next segment into that emotional roller coaster that you talked about, so that other people can maybe resonate with those feelings and how you overcame them. Would you do that with us?
Yes.
Terrific. Thank you so much. And everybody else, stay tuned, because we're going to get deeper into that emotional roller coaster with Alison. I'm María Tomás-Keegan. Till next time.